the culture that appropriated much of the values.
So you consider bringing people to the worship of one God instead of worshipping fire, idols, monkeys, elephants, trees, stones.
Wait. So that's a straw man argument.
Slow down. Let me make my argument
Islam
first.
had no right
to
make those military excursions
listen.
and force people to convert to
Am I allowed to make my argument?
Now with the Yazidi in Iraq.
Am I allowed to make my argument first?
Oh, yeah, you can make
Good. So, do you agree if Islam came to invite people to return to the worship of one God instead of worshipping a cow or a monkey or a rat or a stone or idols or fire or river, whatever, do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing?
If it was an invitation and not a military excursion, then obviously, choice. But I don't think it was an invitation. I think there was a lot of genocide and destruction of cultures throughout the Middle East and North Africa.
So invitation is okay?
Huh?
So invitation is okay. Inviting
An
a whole civilization.
Yes, theoretically it would be okay. You'll be
fine.
Perfectly fine.
So how did Islam spread to those countries? Start with Mesopotamia.
Military conquest.
Start with
the massacre of the Jews of Medina. It was military conquest.
Slow down. Mesopotamia. Start with Mesopotamia. So Islam went to which country in Mesopotamia and it invaded?
Yes.
Give me the names and dates.
Oh my God! Now we're going to start going into exact minute details.
Yes. No one. Excuse me. What's interesting is we shouldn't be waffling, right? You shouldn't be waffling.
It's hard
when it comes to history
of Muhammad the Prophet, just came to the region
and
everyone just went on their knees and said, "This is right."
My friend, what's your name?
I'm sure there was a military conquest,
What's your name?
forced sexual slavery.
What's your name? Shazad. I'm Mansur, right?
Huh?
Now, Shazad, tell me, when Islam came to Mesopotamia, which country in Mesopotamia, now as we know by country, because Mesopotamia is no longer Mesopotamia, it has modern names. So in the 7th century, when Islam arrived to those countries, okay, so name them, date them, and how were they being invaded with a military destruction as you portray? Go ahead. We're all listening.
After the death of Muhammad, in which the vast majority of the Arabian Peninsula was now subjugated under Islam, subsequent caliphs came and continued with a process of invasion of the region, in which, so for example, the Christians of Syria and Egypt became minorities in that region, as the rest of the population was subjugated up to Islam. And in Persia, for example, Iran, Zoroastrianism ceased to remain
so you meant some
Iran's
countries.
state religion.
Okay,
and
Persia.
And those who remained Zoroastrian had to take refuge in India.
Let's go back. So Syria. So in Syria, you claim there was an invasion, destruction, and of people and genocide. Yep. So now tell me, which historians? Slow down. Which historians, who are academic historians, have mentioned a genocide of the local population, whether they were Christians or otherwise, when the Muslims went to Syria and it annihilated them? It invaded the country first of all. Yep. We didn't invite them because you are disagreeing with that. You said no invitation.
I don't think that any historian
slow down.
Theologically agrees with Islam.
Shazad,
say anything against it.
Shazad, don't make logical fallacies. Oh, you know what? We have no historian on planet Earth who has the guts and is brave enough to speak the truth, because if they didn't mention what they mentioned, then off of the head. Is that what you're saying? No, I don't buy that. Listen, Shazad, which historians, academic historians from planet Earth, it doesn't have to be a Muslim, right? It could be a Christian historian or a Jewish historian or a pagan historian, no problem. Academic historians who have really, with historical references and resources and sources, have stated that when Muslims went to Syria, so you tell me when they went to Syria, they didn't invite the people, local population, they invaded and annihilated and committed genocide. So now go and start with your references.
Oh, now you're going to now you give names, dates,
quotes,
citations.
That's what you're claiming. Go ahead.
But all you're
Do you want my phone for Google?
All you're really doing is say, tell me where this or tell me where that. So the ball's in your court at the moment.
No.
You can actually say.
Who made the claim? Who made the claim?
I'm supposed to dig out all the...
Shazad, you make the claim. There was this invasion, destruction, genocide, right? No invitation. The onus, I'm afraid, Shazad, is on your court to provide the evidence
It's
for
simply
such
not-
a claim
because
that you've
your
made?
religion does not go all the way from Morocco to Indonesia.
Slow down, Shazad.
Not one single member was killed. Not one single army battle
Shazad,
took place.
your waffling is not going to help generalization.
No, it just doesn't
Now
work that way.
we are going to specific. First Syria, then we're going to go to Persia, and whatever you want. Because I stopped you there saying step by step. So in Syria, right? When did Islam go to Syria, and how was the mechanism? And start naming the historians. Go ahead. If you don't know, why don't you go to British Library? Is he open today? Do some research and learning. Yeah. Come back next week or the week after. Don't worry. Don't worry. I've been coming to this park for many years. So it is, if God willing, and I'm still alive, I might be coming the next week and the next week after, until how many years to come? Who knows? Shazad.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you is this: names, references, dates.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
We start with a credible historian in your eye. As a historian, he mentions this.
So, do you want me to come back next week and give you?
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
That's fine.
That's probably fair, isn't it? Because I don't want to put you on the spot, because we don't expect everyone to know the references on the spot.
Yeah.
So now we'll start with Syria, and we'll hopefully have meaningful discussions subsequently in many weeks to come, God willing, right? We'll have a very learning experience in these discussions. So where the claims you made, just to make it clear, Islam went and invaded these countries, committed genocide, destroyed their civilization.
I think the case of Zoroastrianism in Persia is...
You mentioned Syria, so let's start with Syria, because it's quite interesting, because I have been to Syria, I've lived with the people, and I have seen a lot of signs of the civilization of the past which are still there.
Yes.
They may not be practiced, that's another thing.
He's Iranian, he's still alive.
Yeah.
You're alive.
And
Yeah, but I'm not in an Islamic
You said
society.
genocide.
I'm not in an Islamic society.
No, because if you killed your parents, you won't be here. Make sense?
No, I'd be...
Is it possible
I'd be
then?
dhimmi.
Do you
I'm
think-
a pure Islamic.
So
70 million of
if
Iranians.
his forefathers were killed, he won't be here. Are you saying, brother,
Christians,
are you saying
Jews,
if his forefathers were
Yazidis,
killed, he won't be here?
You know.
I have to think about that. If your forefathers were annihilated,
Genocide.
would you be still here? What do you all think? Do we have to?
And under strict Sharia law in an Islamic
about
society,
that.
I'd be
Let-
paying
let-
jizya
let's go to the
tax.
history.
Right. So that's history for something that we cannot talk now, because it's only fair that you provide the references. Now let's go back in general. If Islam brings the truth to the people, to invite them to worship their creator instead of the creation, do you have anything wrong with that?
Theoretically, if it's a completely peaceful invitation to invite, and then like a Christian who proselytizes will say this, say that. If you don't listen, they'll go, they'll leave. You know, if it's that kind of level, then obviously I can't have a moral issue with that.
Okay, so now suppose now you are in a country and you are very restrictive in your country with borders, right? So I want to invite the common people. So how am I going to, this is 7th century, right? So I want to invite the common people within these lands and show them and really discuss with them the truth of Islam. So how,
philosophy, books, lectures.
right, how do I approach the common people? Because now you are a country state protected by your borders and your fences and your military and your government. So how do?
So you're saying
so how do we?
military
No,
subjugation
I'm
would
not
be-
saying anything. I want you, Shahzad, to give us the options of peaceful invitation options of how we go about inviting the common people. What are the ways we can do that?
Like I said, you know, theological debates, philosophical
How do I
discussions.
even have a debate with them? I can't go into the country.
Well, don't then. You can't violate their territorial integrity.
So the invitation is stopped from the very beginning. I can't even invite them. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sure that the invitation was there.
Now, how can you invite? Because you're not even allowed to go in.
Did they?
At that time,
Did Syria close their borders?
at that time, we're talking about the whole of
So now we're
the Middle
reversing.
East.
Now
No.
Evidence that Syria closed their borders.
Wait. We're not talking about Syria. Don't focus on Syria only. Islam came in the 7th century. Islam came in the 7th century. Yeah, of the Christian era. Now it wants to invite people to this true religion. So how does it do that? How does it achieve without invasion, without genocide? Of course there shouldn't be any genocide. Of course there shouldn't be any invasion to kill people, right? You want to invite people in a beautiful way so that up to them they accept it or not. People should have their own choice. So how do you do? Today now you can have your own satellites and you can, broadcast, and people, whoever they want to, put in the signal in and receive the signal and then watch Satellite TV. Zakir Naik has his own channel, right? You can watch Zakir Naik Peace TV if you want, for example. I'm sure there's lots of other privately Muslim-owned channels, not satellite channels. It's quite easy, right? You just have to choose and say, okay, this is the frequency, I'm going to tune in, I'm going to listen. Right. Previously then, you didn't have any satellites. You had to go into the people. So if the government doesn't invite you in, how do you reach to the people with the truth?
The only method I can think of is military invasion.
But that's not right, though.
Huh?
That's not right. According to you, that's not allowed. That's not permissible.
It isn't. It's not like
Right.
you must convert to this, otherwise,
Yeah.
So you are actually justifying the spread
I'm
of
not
Islam,
justifying. I'm asking you.
But you're
You are
saying
coming
that-
up with an
But you are
alternative.
suggesting that there was no other alternative.
What are the alternatives? That's what I'm asking you.
Military invasion.
And you accept that?
No.
That's not an alternative then. That's not a viable practical alternative, according to you.
I'm-
So what are
I'm
the
suggesting
viable
the likelihood.
practical alternatives where people can really see the truth of Islam? How do you go about doing that?
I don't know. Carry a pigeon? What are you supposed to do? Throw the messages in? I don't know.
Okay. Do you know how Islam was invited to
Okay,
the
I'd
people
like to
then?
hear this. I'd like to hear
Do you
this.
know?
Huh?
Do you know?
I don't know. Catapult the message in? How?
Is this how Islam went to those countries?
No, I'm being sarcastic.
No, I'm
I
ask-
think you will know the answer. to
No,
this.
I want
So,
you to tell us, because you are the ones who make claims of invasion.
I'm saying
so
that
now,
you're
so now, how did the Muslims, the message carrier,
military
invite?
invasion.
So they just said, okay, we're going to come to Allahu Akbar, and that's it?
Well, I believe that's how it works.
Right.
After
So-
the death of the Prophet
so-
Muhammad, when Islam at this present moment in time was just the entire Arabian Peninsula, what we call Saudi Arabia, Yemen, blah, blah, blah. It was subsequent caliphs who spread it into what is now Syria, Iraq, North Africa and so forth. So they were essentially imperialists.
So they just went to a country, said, this looks like a nice country from
Yes.
outside. We don't know what's in there. There might be people in there. So
There's
let's
a
go
lot,
there.
a lot of things in
Shahzad,
there.
slow down.
War booty, sex slaves,
Shahzad,
possibly,
slow down, slow down.
jizya tax,
Let's imagine.
What about Christian? How they invite the
Yeah,
people?
exactly.
the prestige
So let's
of
understand
land
that.
conquest.
So let's understand this. So now the Muslim army is in the border of a country, which could be Egypt or Syria or Iran, and they're thinking, it doesn't look like it's just a barren land, must be people living there, so you need to invite the people to Islam. And how about going there is, okay, take our swords, Allahu Akbar, and then just go and destroy everything, and then say, you find everyone's destroyed and you no one to invite Islam to. Is that what
I do
happened?
think that Prophet Muhammad
Is this how it happened?
you had a very good incentive for his soldiers. A lot of his soldiers thought what we dying for. But then
Do you-
then that myth of what's
Hang on.
after death.
Do you even know what Prophet Muhammad's teaching was?
Huh?
Is or was?
What?
Name me some of the teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that you agree with.
That I
Agree with.
agree with.
Not disagree with. Agree with.
Agree with.
Yes.
Teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, I agree with. At the top of my head, I can't really think.
I'll give you some time. I'll give you some time.
Unless he was to say
Think
2
about
plus
it.
2 make 4, but you can't listen to this.
Think about it.
Disagree with that,
Teachings.
obviously.
Teachings to do with morality, ethics, governance, economy.
Well, I think
Wait.
that
No.
taking of
Wait.
interest is wrong.
Slow down.
To a banking
I'm
system.
trying
takes
to help
interest.
you
I'd
because
agree with Muhammad on that
because
one.
you only think about 2 plus 2 is 4, brother. Because the only thing you can think of 2 plus 2 is 4. I'm saying no. In terms of guiding one's life's affairs, interacting with oneself, how you look after your own self, how you interact with other people in a society. So teachings to do with this life's affairs, teachings to do with who you are, what you should be doing, how you should conduct yourself. Now, what teachings of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam do you agree with?
That in economics, the taking of interest is not a good thing.
So you agree with that teaching?
Yeah.
So okay, fine. Very good. More.
Drug and alcohol aren't good.
Very good. Alcohol is bad for you. Okay.
I don't take God's existence for granted. I can't say that there is a self where cause of all causes, that is itself from cause, a causal cause of the universe, specifically manifesting itself via Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. So in that sense, I remain agnostic. So I'm not going to...
That's your position. So teachings, let's see what teachings, because his teaching are so many, it covers every aspect of our life, from even before we're born to even after we die.
I agree with the...
two things we agree. Things that you agree with, Shazad. Agree with. Let's not talk about disagreement. Let's talk about agreements. There's something you agree with. So you mentioned two things about usury and interest, and you mentioned about alcohol and drugs. Fine. Okay. It's self-explanatory. We don't have to even justify these.
I don't think that's specific to Islam. I think there's a lot of ideologies.
No problem. So go ahead. Name some more that you agree with.
I've already mentioned the banking system. Families are good things. Family stability. All those basic things that, in my opinion, aren't really limited to Islam anyway. You'll find them in Christian societies, in Jewish societies. You'll find them in secular societies. So they're not specific to Islam.
Sure. Is there anything in Islam that Prophet Muhammad SAW came up with that you agree with? Anything that he came uniquely with that you agree with?
That isn't specific to anything.
Yes.
Not that I know of.
So the reason why I ask this is this: how much do we know about this man, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? If we know not too much, not enough of this man, then of course we will have a wrong opinion about him. The opinion will be formulated by what others think in a negative way, and then say, okay, yeah, I don't like this man. So if you can't think of
with the negative. Obviously, I'm not going to believe everything.
How have you learnt about this man, this Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? What have you read about him? Which books have you read?
From Mecca, a remarkably astute military commander. He looked like he had a good knowledge of Judaism and Christianity, which he condensed into the Quran. There's no evidence that he was illiterate and was just, it was all coming to his mind.
There is no evidence.
There's no evidence, in my opinion, that he was illiterate and miraculous. It was all just coming to his mind. And Muslims will often say that.
So what evidence would make you think it's an evidence? So when we have evidence where he's asking people, show me where my name is, so I can rub it off.
He was generally convinced that he was a descendant of Abraham, which I don't think.
Yeah. So which books of his biography have you read? Which book of biography of Prophet Muhammad have you read based on historical sources?
I haven't read a whole library of this or that.
Which one biography books based on historical sources that you have read about the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam?
I haven't read.
Right. So do you agree, if we haven't read his biography from the sources, then our information about him may be convoluted and formed by very hostile opinions about him that we hear about him
I'm
from...
not just exposed to hostile opinions against Islam.
Do you agree?
With a large Muslim population, and they're
right.
hostile.
So the reason why I asked, when you said about how Islam, the Caliphs went, have you read about the biography of the Caliphs who did those so-called military, invasions and committed genocides?
Historical explanation, subsequent caliphs.
The ones from the very beginning, have you read any of their biographies? They're available in bookshops in English language.
I think you're going to have to, recommend me a whole library.
No.
I'm not giving you a whole
I don't have to recommend your library. I'm simply saying, you've obviously, Shazad, you're a nice human being, right? An intelligent person as well. If you have formulated your opinion about the history of the Muslims in the earlier times and how they so-called, expanded their empire, and about the Prophet ﷺ, if you haven't read the source material, then your information comes from where? It's questionable, right? Isn't it? Questionable.
IslamNet is establishing the first of its kind mega mosque, think about that, and Dawah Center in Norway. If you donate to support this cause on behalf of your parents, Allah will inshallah build a home for them in Jannah. Because the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, whoever builds a mosque for Allah, Allah will build a house for him in Jannah. So you can inshallah help your parents earn the eternal home in paradise right now by clicking the link below.